presidents were forging signatures. Maybe you remember some of the accusations.
Worship and the body politics should not participate in partisan politics.
Bakateka n'abakwata Egypto, its preoccupation now is to give a good service to the people of Zambia.
For us, we only ride on the facts. Respect the decision of the party, whoever they are going to choose, but seeking our numbers can go and show thanks.
You were once members of the party. Yes. So it's easier for you to come back.
Thank you for staying tuned to Revelation TV and welcome to Society, which comes to you every Wednesday from 18 to 19 hours. And we are live on Top Star, channel 458, on GoTV, channel 196, on Movie TV, channel 43, and we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube on our pages, which is Revelation TV Zambia. And you can send your SMSs to 0978 43 74 37, 0978 43 74 37. And my guest this evening is the President for United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia, UPPZ, Mr. Chanda. Welcome to Revelation TV, Mr. President.
Good evening and thanks for hosting me this evening.
Okay. I'm going to just kickstart the program. I think of late we've been in Mangango doing a number of programs, and also we saw the filing in of nominations for the candidates ahead of the next month parliamentary by-election. Maybe what's the update on the Mangango by-election?
Well, I've just come back. I came back about an hour ago. Like you have rightly mentioned, we successfully filed in our parliamentary candidate, but there was drama leading to that. We had to be wise, especially after the Kasenengwa formula, where our colleagues had to buy off somebody a day before nomination. Our candidate had received numerous visits from one of the political parties that is gifted in buying opponents, and we had to think twice. And as president, I had to think twice. That is why it's important you participate in these elections so that you're able to learn the tricks of your opponents. So what we did was we had to evacuate our candidate from Mangango, himself, the father, and somebody else. We had to evacuate them. They were not in Mangango because he is born from Mangango. He stays in Mangango. So we brought him to Lusaka. So he stayed in Lusaka and we put him in a hotel where he was out of reach. Our friends didn't know where our candidate was because the plan was to buy him off. So we kept him, and nobody knew who our candidate was until yesterday when we had to present him. Now the issue here is that you have to be wise. But at the end of the day, are these politics? Why are we bringing in slave trade in politics? What has gone wrong with political parties? That you have millions of followers, but you still want to buy somebody from the opposition. I mean, look at the people that are contesting. Some of them are not from the actual parties. They are bought from another opposition. When did this thing start, where you have to sideline your own members just because you feel that since in this place we are not the people in charge, if we get somebody from the other side who will win votes? That's how you can tell that people don't know politics. You are not doing the correct thing. If you are doing the correct thing, how long have we been in Mangango? And are you aware that yesterday UPPZ had the largest crowd and yet there was no truck to transport people? Our friends transported people from Lusaka, from Kaoma, from Ngeema, and from Mongu, just for nomination. They don't have people on ground. People have become hostile. And why are they people hostile? It's because these political parties are not involved in the lives of the citizens. All that these people need is somebody who will show care. And I think we have shown the care for the people of Mangango. We have shown concern, not just there. I have shown concern in rural Zambia. That is why everywhere they are calling us. Why? Because they've seen that there is somebody who can be a voice to the people in rural areas. Just yesterday, when we started the nomination, that's when PF brought a grader to start doing the road. Why should you wait for by-elections? So the PF is telling us that they are waiting for death for them to bring development. Are we going to be taking development when somebody dies? Which is not fair. So all we are saying is we've done our best, but I can assure you, I'm not a prophet of doom. But with the information I gathered today that came at my disposal, one of the political parties has transported guns, they've transported machetes and pangas. So we are likely to have the bloodiest election in Mangango. But that's not fair. But that's a reality. People want to win at all costs, even when they are losing popularity. Instead of working on why are we losing popularity, you work, that's how you do it. You work on things that are destroying you. Once you have rectified that, it becomes easier to be able to get people. But we want to get people with blood. But one day, we will be able to give account for innocent blood that is lost because of power-hungry politicians.
Okay. Now, Mangango is one of the underdeveloped districts in Western Province. As a party, what are the plans for that area if your candidate Chingumbe Kabindama goes through in the next month's parliamentary by-election?
I think, Mr. Moderator, we may need to even qualify the word underdeveloped. Undeveloped. Because under, that means there is some development. There's nothing there. There is absolutely nothing. I mean, you have a situation where community schools, I mean, when you look at government schools, you know that the constituency is so big. You find that some villages are 7 to 10 kilometers to the next school. And you're talking about a grade 1. How do you allow a grade 1 to walk 10 kilometers in the morning and 10 kilometers when knocking off? Go come. That's 20 kilometers. So the community, they decided to put some structures that may not be the best. Now remember, that is a sandy area. So it becomes a challenge to really make a proper structure. So, but they've tried their best. And here is a situation where children are sitting on the sand. And these children, they have no shoes. And when it's hot, they must walk in the hot sand. You know, I felt it. I was moved with compassion. And I was saying, oh my God, how can you have this kind of situation? We have a president who is far from reality. He is detached from reality. We have a president who is living in his own world. People don't tell him what's happening on ground. Did President Lungu know that? Does he even know that we have learners who are sitting on logs? I sat on a log for 30 minutes and I'm telling you, I needed a painkiller. And here are Zambian children of Zambian citizens. And some of them, I saw them having a t-shirt for the president, PF t-shirts. But their children are punished for 4 hours sitting on a log, on a sand, and there is no desk. So I was saying that, look, with this kind of situation, something needs to be done. I moved into action immediately. I started making desks for the community. And the good news for the people of Mangango is that I have bought land there, prime land, and I'm setting up a wood processing plant. And that wood processing plant, we want to start manufacturing desks. And we're going to manufacture desks for that place. We want to see how to help. There is wood there. The Chinese are buying this wood at almost nothing. But the people are poor. So what we want is the wood that is being sold to the Chinese and being transported to China, let them bring the wood. Bring the wood to my factory. We will make the desks for the children, which is better. Teach the people skills on how to convert these logs of wood into furniture. That's what we want to do. So we are taking skills, and that plant, by next week, we are starting with the clearing of the field. So it's not something we have to wait. I have the capacity to set up that factory. And that's what we have done now. Then apart from that, we're going to look at generally the problems. I looked at the intensity of the problems. One, we have a problem with our mothers. And the problem with them, the pain they are passing through is that the clinics are far. Where there are clinics. Because some clinics in Mangangu, for your own information, are under a tree. Just think of, I was there. I saw one clinic under a tree. How on earth do you have a clinic under a tree? But that's Mangangu, that's Western Province. And you know what pained me is that this is the province that has given us the first ever female vice president, and have females. We're talking about females. Here's a vice president that is female, and the females in her own province walking to clinics, carrying babies on their back, and when they reach there, the medical officer works on them under a tree. And sometimes there's no privacy. But what are they going to do? That's the only place they can be attended to. And that is Zambia, where taxpayers' money is there, and some of it, there are thieves waiting for it. They can steal taxpayers' money. And that's Zambia. You have donor funds. We have special thieves for donor funds. They are waiting. Those ones, they specialize in dollars and pounds. They don't steal kwacha. So they are just waiting. Once the dollars hit the account, the pounds hit the account, those thieves, some of them being politicians and others officials, they will be stealing those funds. And these funds are meant for development of our rural areas. So we are saying, one, we want to help. And for your own information, already I have embarked on building 3 clinics without donor funds, without government help. And the people they are quite happy. And I am the first opposition president, because even the ruling parties, no president has ever touched that place. So when I went there, they had, this is the UPPZ president. Some people were coming just to see how does a president look in real life. Because all they know is a president in a t-shirt and a president in a chitenge who will be looking at you even when you are hungry. You are wearing a chitenge, you are hungry. That president will be with you and he can't help you. So they needed a president physically, and that is how the villagers, they became so much in love with us. So we want to help with the clinics. We want to also help in terms of agriculture. Now remember, when you are talking about rural Zambia, you are dealing with a section of the society that government undermines, that government has no respect. That is why we are saying, Bomala PF Liderera Alimi. This government has got no respect for peasant farmers. That is why they can change the price of maize at will. They don't care. Even if you had planned to send your child to school using the funds that you are going to get, they don't care about that. That's the government that we have. So if we have this kind of government that undermines, that doesn't count people from rural areas, even if you reduce, there is no water, they don't care. They don't treat the water for them. They must just drink that kind of water. But they are drinking water. Look at the members of parliament. If you just watch parliament, come and see bottled water. Are you aware that some of those members of parliament, they first drank bottled water in parliament because of the votes of the rural areas, especially MPs from these rural areas? I'm shocked that here is an MP who has never drank bottled water, but an old woman gave him a vote, and he goes there. He forgets about the old women in the villages who sometimes, because of how far water is, they can't even bath every day. And they forget about them. And they will be there shouting, yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll be wondering who even taught them to shout like that, because that doesn't make any sense. But what we are saying here is that we are in a situation where government doesn't care. Now look at it. They want to start grading the road, which is fine. But who is going to benefit? Because some of those villagers don't even go to town. They've got nothing, no business in town. They wake up in the village, say 24/7, they are in the village. What they want is not the road. Yes, the roads are important, but first attend to their things that are affecting their lives directly. Yes, goods and services must reach them. When they have their harvest, they must use the roads. That's important. But their day-to-day lives, look at water. That's what you start with. I mean, I was shaken when I got there. One of the, these schools, these teachers, they get paid in kind. Maize and cassava. How do they wash their clothes? How do they buy clothes? They say they give them basins, and then donor money comes, you are stealing it. Do you think even the devil will be angry at you? Because the devil normally likes thieves. The devil is so much in love with thieves. But thieves that can do that, even the devil will be angry, because that kind of stealing is not normal. When your citizens are being impoverished, you are enjoying. You are even building things outside the country. Even if you were not sick, the devil can make you sick. So we need to reach a point where we take care of the rural communities. So we want to deal with agriculture. We also want to deal with education. And apart from that, we are providing employment. That's what we want to do. I'll be providing, for instance, personally, the factory I'm setting up there, we will be having about 120 people employed. Now, if I can do this as an individual, without the support of government, without the support of any donor funds, I believe government is in a better position to do more than me. But the challenge we have, the president is surrounded with people who only care for themselves and their families, and they don't care for the people that gave them the power.
Okay. Now coming to the strategy for rural development, I think you've touched a bit on it. Maybe can you elaborate further? I mean, my key interest is in the education sector. Maybe you can elaborate more on this strategy for rural development.
You know, when you look at Zambia, Zambia is over 70% rural. I mean, most of our people are living in rural areas. It's not a secret. But then, look at our administrators. Our administrators, they focus on urban areas. And when you say urban, it's actually Lusaka. Because for our politicians and most of our administrators, town is Lusaka, not these other places. So when they borrow money, they want to spend it in Lusaka. Other towns, they'll be lucky if they get a share. The people in rural areas, those ones, they are not human beings. We don't care about them. Look at what, I mean, I was just reading in the paper last week. The minister of Lusaka province. He was, so happy. I saw the way his jacket was flying. You can see that this man, the way he's moving, and he's very excited. And what was the excitement? They are going to bring the Chinese. The Chinese, they want to plan a train from the compound to here. My friend minister, I think sometimes it is good you sit down and reflect on your life and your work. You are talking about a train in Lusaka. Our students in rural areas, they are walking 60 kilometers. Why can't you think about Honda motorcycles or bicycles? Already we've got, have you seen how many minibuses we have in Lusaka? No, we want to bring a train. Development must be in Lusaka, because for most of these our politicians in PF, all rural areas don't exist. I think they didn't do their geography. If they did it, they were not concentrating when we are doing the maps, even from grade 5, because the map of Zambia, if you have noticed, even the shape, ask these ministers without showing them, ask them to draw the map of Zambia. They will draw the map of Lusaka. Because that's where development is. These are politicians are geographically challenged. They don't know Zambia. That is why, may his soul rest in peace, I miss the great statesman, Michael Chilufya Sata. He knew the corners of this country. When he came up with, the linking up of Zambia, he knew exactly what he was talking about. But I'm surprised that in his own party, there is not even one follower after him. He did not leave a son. May his soul rest in peace. That is the only failure that I can attach to the late president. He did not leave a successor. He never. Ask anyone in PF to stand up today if he can confirm that he is a follower of the late president. There is not a single one, I can tell you, not a single person in PF is after the kind of the late president. I mean, you can see, he was a man of the people. Do you know that the late president, he won most of these areas, he had no structures. Do you know how he succeeded? Even Western Province, in Mangango there, the MP lost, but he won. Do you know how he won? It was because he was a man of the people. He used to go to the people. But look at these leaders. It's very difficult, even to see them. I'm talking about even our president. To see our president, it's a challenge. Even the journalist can tell you, if the journalist wants to see the president, they know where to see him. He's at the airport. There he can see them. Since he's rushing to the plane, so he will not have enough time to talk to you guys. So you can only chance him at the airport. But the late president, he was there. He can even come and sit with you. He could even get into a minibus because he was the man of the people. So what I'm saying here is that when you look at Zambia, unfortunately, the leadership crop we have here, permit me to use this illustration. It's not the best, but everybody will understand. When we were in primary school, we were taught about the town mouse and the bush mouse. I'm sure you remember the story. The town mouse, it was eating what? Sugar. The bush mouse was eating groundnuts. So when they took the bush mouse to town, he couldn't fit in. It was very difficult because he's not used to sugar, doesn't even understand. So what we are saying here is that when you look at the crop of leaders we have most of the class of leaders we have are town leaders. Although on their NRC there is chief and there is village, which doesn't make sense. Every Zambian today, if we are to check every Zambian, can you see your NRC? There will be chief, which means you have a place where you come, a district. Then you have a village, there is a headman. How many of these people even know the headman? Even the chief. You know, when you say chief, some of our people, you see the way a chinyao dresses. Some children think that is a chief when they see anyone dressed like that, because they have no idea. But what I'm trying to say is this: why should we have rural area in my pocket on my NRC but not in my brain? When money comes from China or wherever it comes, Norway, Britain, the money gets to Lusaka and is finished. Now think about it. You know the famous Zanaco Bank is for at least for the government. That is a beautiful bank, because in that bank, even in an account where there was no money, money can be discovered. But then I was shocked in Kaoma, there's no Zanaco. Can you imagine? The whole Zanaco. So when you say Mangango constituency that falls under Kaoma, there is only one bank, Atlas Mara. I was surprised. That's just how reckless our leaders are. They don't care about rural Zambia. That is why if you go to rural areas, especially Western Province, Northwestern Province, when you say one Zambia, I was surprised. They say one side. One Zambia, one side. You know how they say one side? Down. Because development is in town. So we have a challenge. But this is my take. If we are going to continue sidelining the people in the rural areas who are the most impoverished ones, God will keep on fighting these governments. Start from MMD up to now. You will see the invisible anger of God in all the governments. Just sit down on your own. When God is angry, what does he do? He has done it. He did it in MMD when he was angry and noticed that rural areas, people who are poor, not taken care of, he did it. PF, God is doing it. We must not invite the anger of God. That is why I know we've not talked about prayer and fasting. I just want to chip in. I know we still talk about it. Because the fasting I know is when you give bread to the hungry. You break the yokes. Now, you are a government that is putting yokes on people and then you say, come and pray and fast. See, what a kind of hypocrisy is that? Which God is going to answer those prayers? You are busy making people more poor and then you say, come and fast. Fast for what? You must remove the yoke first. You can't put a yoke on somebody and you don't care, and then you now come and say, yeah, we are going to pray. This is just this thing we are doing tomorrow is just a formality. We are trying to show that we are a Christian nation, but inside we know which nation we are. And I'm telling you, Zambia on the outward we are a Christian nation, but inside people's hearts we know which nation we are.
Okay, thank you. You've talked about the issue of the Chinese. What is your party's position regarding that the Chinese investment in Zambia?
I think I need to make my stance very clear here. I have nothing wrong with the Chinese. Okay. I don't have any problem with the Chinese. I mean, look at the Chinese. They've been there for Zambia. Tazara, who did Tazara for us? The Tazama pipeline is the Chinese. They've been there. Of course, when they did that, they went back. Because President Kaunda, his handling of the Chinese was different. When they finished their project, they went. And that project was now being managed by our people.
Okay.
Now,
yeah, you can go ahead.
Why do I have some reservations with the Chinese?
Okay.
What I am saying is that the way the Chinese conduct business with most countries, especially African countries, is a problem. You cannot borrow me money and then you don't give me the money. You are the one to use it. Then what is the point? You borrow me money for the road. You are the one giving me the quotation yourself. You must give me a chance. I want to compare the quotations. You are giving me 360 to build an airport and you are the one to build the airport. Supposing that airport will cost 100 million, but you gave me a loan of 360. That is how China is destroying Africa. They will never give you the correct price. What they will do is that, and I'm telling you, go and check it. I have done my research. The airport that we are building here in Lusaka, it will cost us less than 200 million. But the cost is about 360. That is how China makes money. And I'm saying the way China is doing business is not right. But our politicians are desperate. They want certain projects that they can point at when it comes to campaign. Now, you want to kill Zambia because of campaign. I mean, look at the roads. You saw the road in China that they did on the sea. You saw the cost. I am being honest with you. The quotations, these prices China has given us are not correct. These are overpriced loans. But Where it is tricky is here. A foreigner comes into my country, he borrows me money, but he wants that money to still benefit his country. Where is development? Don't be cheated. China is not developing Zambia. It is not. Don't even go that route unless you don't reason. China is not developing this country. No. I still say no. China is using this country to develop its own country and its own people, because those loans that eventually we have to pay, if we manage to pay those loans, who has benefited? The roads is the Chinese companies. And then we as a government also, we also become, I don't know whether, permit me to use the word, we become like someone who is intoxicated. When we are giving out now other projects, we are going to give them to the Chinese. That is a problem. So it is the way our government is doing business with China. That is what I don't appreciate. And I'm saying, if I become president, if I do, I have to go to the Chinese. There's something I need from the Chinese. I don't need their money. I need their knowledge. That's how we can develop Zambia. How can we be importing a toothpick? I want the knowledge of making a toothpick. Look at our copper. Look at our cobalt. Everything is going to China. They are making spare parts. Even our mukula tree. Are you aware that they use it to be able to make the calf interiors? Beautiful car finishes. That's what I want. China, I have mukula tree. I'm not sending the mukula tree to your country. Bring the company here so that we can export finished products and make more money. That is how you develop Zambia. But not this thing where you are giving raw materials. You don't know. Now think about it. Look at the cell phones. Go to our universities. Not a single university in Zambia, no, even the material university, if it does not exist, not a single university. There is no student who can make a cell phone. You send our students from here, you send them to China. Oh, of course, because they are sending these children with 40 points. You send them there to go and learn accounting. Accounting is the one you should go to China. Then they will ask you 1 year, you must learn their language. Do I need that language? Why am I going to use it to? So what I'm saying here is that I don't have a problem with China. I have a problem with the way they do their business. They bully African countries because African leaders are desperate. Okay. And then, this is where it becomes a problem. Why are we insisting on Chinese companies? That is where our politicians are making money. Just some few months ago, one of the Chinese companies bought a VX, brand new VX, from Toyota Zambia. And it was for one of the children of the leaders. That's a Chinese company. So that's how they are making money. These leaders are benefiting, but the nation is not benefiting. Don't come and tell me that I'm benefiting from the road, and then I'll be paying for that road till I die, and then you say I'm benefiting. I would rather keep the money. We are overtaxed because of these same things. So all we are saying here is that watch the way you do business with China. You must have the negotiating power if you are borrowing. The PF government, just like many governments, they don't have a negotiating power with China. They have the begging power because they beg the Chinese. That is why the Chinese will even tell you, can you imagine, even our own stones, they are the Chinese who are breaking them to build the roads. How can you ask them to break the stones? Our own stones. Do you know how many Chinese are breaking stones? We had women from Chawama and Kuku compound, and good enough, our president is from Chawama. He used to see those women who were breaking stones. What stopped the PF government gathering those women and say, we are going to buy you a machine from China, you break the stones so that your lives can be empowered, you can supply these stones to the Chinese who are building the roads. We don't do that. There is no care for a Zambian. That's why I'm angry at the Chinese. Yes, they have the money which we don't see. We only see these buildings. Even this airport. You know, I'm laughing at Zambia, and we are calling that an airport. They even say, you know, the most modern airport. Go and look at it. It looks like a mushroom. All that these Chinese have done, they have gongered us. That airport, it is a refurbishment of a passenger thing, not for the plane. They are only looking at the passengers. It's the officers there. And I wonder how much those offices and those shops will cost. At a real airport, when you look at the terminal, don't just look at the passenger terminal. You must look at where the planes are coming from. We will still be dropping there, and then a bus must take us. We must still walk, and then we have spent 360 million. If I've spent that money, I should be able to come from the plane. I must go straight into the terminal building. Then you will say you have developed. But you see, we've got leaders who have never traveled. Some of them, the first time to travel is when they became politicians. That is why they don't sit down. They must always be flying because they are in arrears. But for some of us, we've been traveling, so we know exactly what's an airport. This thing that we are calling an airport, and you see these PF ministers, you know, we've got a most modern. My friend, you have not traveled. Just go to South Africa, go and see OR Tambo, and you compare that thing to this thing you're calling an airport. That's it. This is nothing. It's a waste of taxpayers' money because we are going to pay for it. A Zambian architect could have designed a better thing than what we have been given there. So all I'm saying here is that the way the Chinese are doing business, I don't appreciate it, and if I became president, I will have a negotiating power. I will not just fall for the Chinese because of their money, which I don't see. I will not do that. And that they need to know about it.
Okay. Now, recently there was some increment in the fuel pump prices, and they gave some justification as to why they had increased the fuel pump prices. And what's your comment also on the issue of a fuel increment?
Now, of course, there was this thing of, you know, it's global and it's a global phenomena, and you know, somebody who has no answer will always jump for something that he feels this is global. But let me tell you something. This thing has got nothing to do with global. And I'll tell you the reason why. Zambia does not benefit in the pricing of crude oil on the international market. Check it. Even when the price dropped so much, the global phenomena was that fuel should have dropped in price. Zambia doesn't do that. But you want to come and be telling us it's global phenomena just because there's an increment. What about the reduction, which was also global phenomenon? When the crude oil, it came from $151 per barrel. It went to 41. Just think about it. That's how far it dropped. It was a global phenomenon. Other countries reduced fuel. Zambia never. They didn't even know there's a word called global phenomenon. They only learned it now because there was an increment. So the challenge we have is that we do not have a direct or access to crude oil. They are middlemen. And these middlemen, unfortunately, some of them are in our government. They are benefiting in the price of the crude oil. What we get here is semi-processed. So these people that are the middlemen, they are the ones who are benefiting at the end of the day. What Zambia needs to do is to ensure that we have access to crude oil, so that the global phenomena that the PF government has come up with, because I'm telling you, I've even started writing notes, because there are new terminologies, misappropriated, misapplication. You know, they are just coming up with good words. I think that cabinet I enjoyed. I can learn a lot in that cabinet, because new words are coming up just to make us to understand. Even when it's corruption, they will say it was misapplication. You know, you will feel nice when you pronounce the word. But what we are saying is that there is need for us. Let's have access to crude oil. And then The government cannot be somersaulting and say, no, these are justified. They are not justified. You are not growing the economy. Some countries are growing the economy. The salaries of the workers are going up. So that cushions the increase in the fuel. But here, when last did the police officer get an increment? When last did these civil servants get an increment? You even have a job, salary freeze. From the deep freezer, you just become constant. No movement whatsoever. I don't know, that's another global phenomenon. But what we are saying is, if you are not growing the economy, when there's a global phenomenon, especially an upward swing, your citizens will suffer most because their financial power has not been growing. And that's what we need. And as UPPZ, we want to grow this economy. Look at our colleagues in government. I mean, has the economy grown? No, there's no growth. There's no growth. How can you grow an economy when somebody can export cobalt worth $20 million per week and you don't know? I mean, does it make sense? You can't. You are giving people tax-free, foreigners. And in this country, most of the things we have are imported. And the people in the importing business are foreigners. They are having a heaven here in our country. And we citizens, we are having a semi-hell. And nobody cares. And that's what I'm saying, that something needs to be done and we can change. So the issue of fuel, we do understand. But it's because there is failure. Look at how many taxes people have. It's from the same income that is overtaxed. That's where we are buying the fuel. It is the same income. Yes, I know we must reduce our speed. But how do you put 6 to 12 cameras? How much money do you want from us? So that if, by mistake, I drive above 60, the next camera will catch me. But is that a reason? And then next, you will see what is going to happen. And I'm telling you, there will be mourning in this country when these rats become a rat for real. Because just remove an S, you will see what is going to happen. They will eat into our income because you go to change, they will tell you, our friend, now we have removed the S. We are just rat. You must bring this. And everybody, they will not renew the license. And then what next? The police will impound. They must look for another place where they must increase. Then the police will also increase the price. Where will Zambian survive? So we are not growing the economy, and that is the challenge. We are overtaxing our citizens. And then you are also taxing the farmers. Are you aware that our peasant farmers are taxed? They are taxed indirectly. Because 85 kwacha, when you drop the price to 60 kwacha, the money on top is actually tax. But government thinks they are very intelligent. Tax over 29%. Instead of coming and say, you farmers, we will charge you 29% tax, they will reduce the price. They know what they are doing. They are playing their cards very well, but time will catch up with them.
Okay, let me just read the 4 SMSs before we go to the next question. This one is coming from Vincent Chius. He's saying, Viva, UPPZ President, we are behind you. Okay, this one says, I need your number, sir. And then this one, it's the PF government does not care of the people, but Edgar and his partners in crime. But I thank God because their days are numbered from here in Osaka. It's me, it's praise, that's the praise. This one says, thanks for the truth you have. There's no name. Okay. This one is Emmanuel Murumbwa from Kafiori, saying enjoying the program, and the person has enough evidence on what he's saying. Let's not politicize issues. Okay. Okay. Then let me go to the next question. The issue of the national budget. What is your general overview of the budget which was presented to Parliament by Madam Margaret Malakatu?
You know, when we are dealing with the issue of budget, I think we are losing sight of why we have budgets. A budget is supposed to help us to have physical discipline. That means we have controlled expenditure. And of course we look at our source of income, which is taxes. And when you're talking about your source of income, you are talking about various taxes. Now, look at this budget. Something else has been introduced. I think we've got the sales tax now, that, and various taxes. Now, what we are saying here is that we cannot just be depending on taxes. Yes, the government needs taxes, but we need to grow the economy. But we say, but if we grow economy, how are we going to do it? Now, we need to ensure that the livelihood, look at the GDP, we need to push those figures up. We need to ensure that our people, they are able to earn a living wage. I mean, generally. That's what we are looking at. You want to reduce poverty. Now, when you're talking about reducing poverty, you must look at what causes poverty. Education is one of them. Health is one of them. Because if I'm sick, I'm always sick, and I can't get medication, what happens? I lose my job. And so we need to look at these sectors. Now, you become worried when education and health are starved in the budget, then you have a challenge. And that's what if you were observant, that's what happened. Now, there is another challenge we have. Government decided to increase on litigation. I'm just picking up things here and there so that you will be able to see that there is something wrong with our leaders. Is the government expecting a lot of court cases? Why increase on litigation? How do you provide within your budget 2 billion for tear gas? And those things are not for animals. They are not for cockroaches. And they must finish. If I don't know, buy all of them, when are they going to finish on? So because they must finish, they must be able to be used. So what we are saying here is that we are lacking priorities. And that's what I've seen in our government. When we are talking about priorities, there's misplacement. Instead of spending 2 billion on tear gas, why don't you send that to agriculture? Because when you spend it on agriculture, it will be able to multiply. The yields will be there. If you are able to assist with fertilizer, but tell me, tear gas for 2 billion, what profit are you going to get? May her soul rest in peace. You have people like Vespers, they will just go. Because they want to use those things. They want to justify why we got the tear gas. Can you see? And I'm sure now they've got a record. They are recording that you see now, at least the 2 billion, we know one person is gone. Because they are going to use it on human beings. But are we at war for sure? Don't we know how to train people so that they can be able to manage such things? Are we justified to go and buy those things and keep them there, waiting for Zambian citizens? That could have been food for children. Better give them food so that they don't riot. Then you don't give them food, then they riot. Then you go and pick the same tear gas. I mean, I'm wondering how many parents we have in cabinet. Are they real parents or they are step parents? Because if they are step parents, you understand. If they are real parents, they will know how it feels. They will not just spend money anyhow. This is money that is taken from the poor of the poorest. We need to use wisdom when we are coming up with. Don't just gather people together just because they've got PhDs in economics and all these things. Then tell them do a budget. You must have a natural mind. That is why when I become president, and I know one day I'll be president, it's not a debatable thing. I will not just leave the Minister of Finance and say, Pangan budget, maybe in the mechanic or when I'm with my lawyer, so just Pangani. No, I will call my Minister of Finance I'll give an indication, this and this and this and this. That is leadership, and we are lacking that today. I'll say, look, I didn't like this thing, I didn't like this thing. A leader must direct. I am not going to allow a minister to come and be educating me. No, I am the one who appointed you, and this and this and this is what we need to achieve. That's how leadership is. But in this country, we just wait. We can't even argue. They will say technocrats. That's a term they'll use. They'll say, no, Your Excellency, the technocrats, this is what they'll say. Please, can they take their technocratic thing there? I mean, this is what we want to do. That is what we are saying. So the budget, it's not user-friendly for Zambia. That's a photocopied thing. Because, you know, there's Google. You just go, copy and paste and change figures. And then some things you change so that people will know that you have done it. And people are doing that. So for me, this is not a budget. It's just an exercise that you need to go through parliament and that you did it. And watch what is going to happen. Because some things that are not appearing in the budget, you will start seeing them.
You're watching The Society, and my guest is Mr. Charles Chanda, who is the UPP's president. We're just here to help us understand a few things about issues in the country. And you can drop your contributions on our Facebook page, which is Revelation TV Zambia, and also the SMSs on the line on your screen. Let me just read, should be 4 messages here. Okay. Okay, this one says, we are behind you, President, here in Chadiza. What you are saying is the truth. We can't see any development here in Chadiza. I need your number, President. Okay. This one says, this man is the most intelligent politician so far. Not even His Excellency can match with. Okay. This one says, good evening, Mr. President. We are the youths of Kawe. We have been crying for employment here in Kawe. It's like the current government have forsaken us. Please help us, youths in Kawe. Okay. Maybe, I think we only have about 6 minutes to our program. I want us to address these 2 issues. The issue of violence and also the issue of National Day of Prayers. We saw the PF fucking each other during their intra-party elections in Chawama, and just today at the Saka complex at the courts, Tayari was equally beaten by the UPPZ, by the UPND youths. What's your stand as UPPZ regarding the violence in this country?
You know, like the name of our party, it's United, Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia. Yesterday, during the nomination in Mangango, we were actually provoked. PF was supposed to have their thing at 14 hours. When we did our own, these PF youths, I think there were about 40 of them, they made a queue and they came and cut in between us. I mean, by force. And the police were watching. That is why I am suspicious. And I'm sure the Inspector General of Police is listening. If he's not listening, they must tell him that this is what the UPPZ president said. The police were watching. They did not stop the PF people from cutting in between us. But I was there. I'm a leader. I'm not violent. Some of our youths wanted to, I told them no, let them pass. The police could have stopped the PF people because their time was 14 hours. They didn't do that. That is why somebody sent me a message yesterday that, Mr. President, we have observed that some of the police officers they have sent to Mangango are police cadres, are PF cadres in police uniform. If those police officers who were watching us moving, going to our office, were real police officers, they could have stopped the PF. So the challenge is there. Mangango is infested with the murderers of Vespers. May our soul rest in peace. The police officers, the majority of them there are not genuine police. These are PF cadres who have been dressed in police so that they can be able to fight properly, because there could have been violence yesterday. It was my leadership skill that made the people say, don't do anything. And they cut through us, which was very provocative. So what I'm saying here is that it's a challenge. Just this morning, I do receive messages. I do receive information. And I received information this morning that one of the parties, they've bought guns, they've bought axes, and they've bought pangas. They've taken them to Mangango. And I'm praying that God will protect the people of Mangango. Why should Mangango become a hunting field, a hunting place? Why should we take lives just because we want to win at all costs? Why don't you admit that you are losing popularity? Why do you want to use force? If you use force, God knows how to use force on those who use force. We must not make God to do it. That is why some of these things are a mockery. We are saying no to violence. And I want to make this appeal. We've got 4 parties in Mangango. We've got the Patriotic Front. We've got the UPND. We have NDC and UPPZ. I am challenging the 4 leaders, that includes me. If we love Zambia, because campaigning has started today, we need to meet and sign a peace pact that no party will be involved in violence. I give myself to put a signature on that pact. So I am challenging the other 3 leaders. If you really love Zambia, let's meet and sign a pact of no violence. We are tired of violence. We need peace. Come into the prayers. It is a mockery to have prayer and fasting when people are buying pangas and guns. The police have no guns. You go and arm cutters with guns. What does that say? That is why they increased the bill for weapons for Public Order Act, so that they can ensure that they can use that to empower their cadres towards 2021. But we are saying enough is enough. Let us ensure that we stand and protect this country. Zambia needs peace. And if we pray with our hearts, we can have peace. But if we pray with hypocrisy, only Satan will answer those prayers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for coming to our program.
Thank you so much for having me, and God bless all the listeners of Revelation TV.
Thank you very much. This has been
For the viewers.
Society, which comes to you every Wednesday, and my guest was Mr. Charles Chanda, who is the president for United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia, UPPZ. And we're live on Topstar, channel 458, GoTV, channel 96, Movie TV on channel 43, as well as on our 3 social networks, which is Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, on our page called Revelation TV Zambia. Thanks for watching, and see you next week. God bless you, and good night.
That were forged signatures. Maybe you remember some of the
Worship and the body politic should not participate in personal politics.
Wakateka na wakwaka Injito, its preoccupation now is to give a good service to the people of Zambia.
Yeah.